Hello and welcome to another video on image editing. In this short video we're going to take a look at importing files into Lightroom Classic. So with the software open and the files already downloaded from Google Classroom and saved somewhere where you can access them, first thing we do is click on the import dialog box. So this is what we can see in front of us. The first thing is to select a source. So the source is wherever you've saved those files to. If you've just attached a hard drive or a memory card, or the camera is attached to the computer, chances are that the source will already be detected. So here is a hard drive that's already attached to the computer, and then if I click to select Lightroom course files, then those images immediately appear. So the options that we have, we can choose to copy as DNG. So that takes the original file wherever it is and will convert it to the universal DNG format invented by Adobe. Advantages being it is a smaller file, will render a lot quicker. The edits, whatever you do to each image, will be written direct to the DNG files. So that just means that you don't have as many files to work with. If you keep the native raw format, then you will have a sidecar, an additional file that contains the edits. On the downside, there is a very slim chance that the file could become corrupted, and that would be during mid-write when the data has been written to the file, and for that reason some people prefer not to use DNG. But because it takes up less space, it is much quicker, it's much cleaner, and for the purposes of the course I would recommend that you copy the raw files as DNG, because as well as everything else they are more compatible with other computers and versions of the software. So we have that option. We also have the copy option. If we choose to copy, that will just basically copy the files from wherever they are. So they could be on a memory card, they could be on an external hard drive, and everything will just be kept the same. So the same file name, etc. will be kept. We can move, that's another option. So move will take the images and then just collect them all together and move them into another folder. So if they're already in pictures and you want to move them somewhere else, then that is an option. And then finally we have add. So the images stay exactly where they are, so they could already be on your computer, they could be in pictures, but you just simply want to add them to the Lightroom catalogue. So for the purposes of this demonstration, all of the images are ticked. If I wish to just select certain ones, I could choose uncheck all and then just go through the images by selectively ticking, which again can be quite useful. You can, at the moment we're looking at grid view, you can go to single image view or loop view, and you see the shortcut for that is E, and then you can just simply use in your navigation keys the right arrow key and just cycle through the images so that you see a larger preview of what each one is like. If you wish to return to grid view, then you just simply press G and that takes you back so that you can see all of the images in smaller scale. So that's the first thing we think about. So these images are going to basically be copied as DNG. We then go across to where they're going to be copied to. Now remember, this is like a database, so it's just really Lightroom pointing to the location of those files, where they're coming from and where they're going to. And so the files are never actually in Lightroom, it's just merely a file management system. So we say where the files are going to be stored, so the options that come up, that could be in the desktop pictures, etc., or you can choose other destination if that does not come up on the options that we have at the top. So that is the starting point. Then moving over to our right hand side, we can choose to build smart previews. That being quite a good option if you want to work on the files and perhaps a hard drive where the originals are located isn't available. If that's the case, then you can work on a smaller version of the file. Then as soon as you replug that hard drive into your computer, then you're good to go, and all of those changes will be updated. We can tick don't import suspected duplicates, just so that keeps everything cleaner and you don't have 10 versions of the same file. Make a second copy is another option if you wish to perhaps adopt a belt and braces approach and have another copy that could be located elsewhere. And then to keep everything tidy, we would click Add to Collection. So with that box ticked, we can click on the plus, and then we can name the collection that these files are going to go into. And I'd recommend that every time you do import images, you either add them to a collection you've already created, or you simply create a new one. So I'm just going to call this one Lightroom course files, and inside a collection set, so this could be a sub collection inside of another one. We don't need that in this case. And then I'll tick the box to set it as the target collection in case I wish to add additional files to that collection. I can then click create. So now we have Lightroom course files. We'll not rename the files because the files are already named and they'll be referenced in the course materials, so just not ticking that box in this case is a good idea. If you wish to rename on import different files, you can tick the box and then you can choose from the template the way you'd like that naming to be. So for example, if you want custom name, original file number, etc. So that is all optional. Coming down the right hand panel, what you can do applying during import. So quick develop settings. So for example, you may want to everything that's imported, you may want something creative applied to them. So perhaps you want to have like desaturated contrast or warm and moody. We have a whole raft of different options, so you could even apply sharpening, medium sharpening perhaps on import. So these are just quick settings that you can use to save time. In terms of metadata, this is where you would create the metadata that you want written to each file. So this is the copyright information. Any copyright information that's been created will appear here. You can always edit presets that you've already created. And so in the custom section, I could just choose, say, general photography preset. And then within this, you can see the IPTC copyright, which has already been added to this metadata, and then that just contains information about the photographer, who to contact if you wish to find out further details, and all of that is within the file. You don't need to fill everything out because some of it's for videographers, but that just gives you an idea of what you need for that, and there's more obviously on that in the handout. Then right here we can see what the file structure is like. So everything is beautifully organized into year and date format, and so the software does that automatically and creates a very impressive file structure. And then once we've got to that stage, we've downloaded the files, we've said where the source is, how we're going to get them into Lightroom by copying as DNG, what the destination is, and then the next thing we simply do is import those files. And then the progress bar shows us at the top just how fast that process is actually being carried out. and then when complete we'll see that bar has gone right the way across the top. And as we're speaking, the files are coming into Lightroom so that we can see as they're coming in, and then we can see information as we hover over each one. So this is the target collection that we're working on at the moment. And then if we look on the left hand side, we can see the collection section, and then Lightroom course files has the plus next to it. That is the target collection at the moment, and little message comes up. Just disable that. So messages will come up just as the files are being imported, and then that plus just indicates that it is the target collection. The progress bar has gone now, so now we can see all of the files have been imported into Lightroom. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful.